Boker Tov, everyone. Rabbi Eric Solomon here, Raleigh, North Carolina, Beth Meir Synagogue. Morning Torah. Torah's portion is Naso, and it is got the most beautiful blessing in it, traditional blessing from Aaron to the people of Israel. May God bless you. Well, sorry, from God, through Aaron. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you, be gracious to you. May God look upon you and grant you peace. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous phrasing, and academics will tell you it's probably the most ancient part of the entire Torah, or one of the oldest. So that blessing is from the Torah times, but moving forward in Jewish tradition and practice, it was evolved or developed to be offered from parents to children at various meaningful moments, like when lighting Shabbat candles, or when before every Shabbat, but also on holidays like Yom Kippur, especially or for Kol Nidrei. It's like tradition to actually offer that as well to kids. It's also a tradition to offer it at when someone is getting married, at this pre-moment of the veiling of a bride wears a veil, or the bedekin it's called. And so I want to tell a story about my father, the last time he ever gave me this blessing. So some of you know my father was a cantorial soloist. It's a longer story for itself, but he basically got volunteered by my mother when my home congregation started in Columbia, Maryland, and there was a rabbinical student who started the shul, the community, and my dad had a very nice voice and had some traditional background, knew Hebrew, and he ended up becoming a soloist and leading services with the rabbi, rabbinical student, and eventually became essentially his function as the cantor of our congregation over 30 years. It was very meaningful for me and my sister, deep influence. Well, part of that's my dad learned a lot of different traditions that evolved. I'm sure he was familiar with this priestly blessing idea, but every Friday night in my house growing up, my dad would take my sister and me and put his hand on her head, and in a very cantorial voice would begin to offer this Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. And when we were little, we're dutiful. We do it, whatever. Like upon lighting the candles, my dad would do it. As we got older and teenagers, my mom would, and I'd give her little eyes and, put on her head, and my dad would do this broad, very meaningful, I'd say spiritual, but it was like, I was like, whatever, annoyed, but when I tolerate it, tough. By the time I go to college, not back for Shabbat that often, rabbinical school, get married when I was about 25, 26 years old. And during the Bedekin, that moment, I invited my parents to come and do the blessing. And my dad gave me that blessing at the time, and I cried because I realized in that moment, there were so many transitions happening. But one of them is I knew, and I think my father knew, we didn't have to even say it, this was going to be the last time that he was going to bless me like this. Not because he wasn't meaningful, not because I wouldn't appreciate it, but something had changed. I was no longer just the child and the son. I was now becoming a partner, and God willing, eventually becoming a father. It was time to pass the tradition on. And so I often just say it's the power of ritual. That this blessing, it's rooted so long ago, is practiced within, I feel blessed within my family. And that ritual brought a richness to not only the experience of it, not only the melody, and the relationship, obviously, but the passage of time. And it's an opportunity for us to think about ritual in general. That ritual is a chance not only to keep something and practice it because it might be meaningful in the moment, but also about the meaning over time, what it means to us and how it changes and how it can be powerful in the different stages of life. I feel grateful to my father for giving us that blessing, me and my sister. And we're grateful to give it to our children here on Shabbat and different times as well. So, Shabbat Shalom.